Good morning, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. I'm just reading a story about Mo Salah and a certain Manchester United player, and it is phenomenal the amount of tax that they pay in the UK. Shows you how much money that they are getting paid, and it shows you the difference between it does show you the difference between the money involved in English football, and it is. I'm going to just jump onto this screen and show you. It's crazy. I mean, we talk about paying 11 million for Arne Engels, right? Let's put this into perspective. We as fans, no shave today. We as fans complain about 11 million for Arne Engels, and look at this. Premier League stars Mo Salah and Mo Salah is down in 81st position in the UK, paying 14 million tax. Certain player at Man City pays 16.9 million in tax each year. That does put things into perspective, doesn't it? Where we stand on the food chain in world football. I mean, you're talking about two players at the top of their game. It's absolute bonkers. And it's got to be said, if those two players were in Spain, they would pay even more tax. Yeah. I'm quite shocked at that this morning. 16.9 million in tax. It's no longer a working man's game, is it? Hence the reason that, football in England's done. Going down a rabbit hole this morning that I never thought that video was going to go down. But anyway, players paying more tax. Players paying more tax than our whole club. Yeah, two of them put together. It's unbelievable. But anyway, that is enough of a reality check for you this morning. If you're having your coffee, you've just eaten your cereal, you probably just spat it back out, thinking, Jesus, 16.9 million in tax, 14.5 million in tax. The annual Sunday Times tax list. That would be an interesting one. Anyway, Sean Maloney, let's get right to it. And we're going to let you listen to one of the shortest pre-match kind of interviews in the history of Celtic Football Club. Now, this is a short one, and it's from Austin Trusty from yesterday. You might have missed it because there was only 2,875 people viewed the video, according to YouTube, but it was one of the shortest videos in history. It goes for 1 minute 58 seconds.
Austin, did you all sit and watch the draw this morning? Did you find out after training? What's your reaction?
No, I was doing recovery. I think some of the guys were watching it. But yeah, now we know the result, and we'll look forward to playing it.
What do you make of the challenge that lies ahead then?
It's going to be a challenge. They're a good team. I think they're a good squad. But at the end of the day, like I've said in all my interviews, all my press, it's up to us. It's up to our ability, and we decide.
When you look at some of the good results you've had in Europe this season, does that give you a belief that it is the level of opposition that, although they will be good, as you say, a level that you would look to live with and progress beyond?
Yeah, definitely. I believe in our squad. I believe in our ability. Again, I think it's either team is how you approach the game, how you set out, and how you can actually play in the game. So if we do our thing and play our way, play the Celtic way, it takes care of itself.
Interesting. Takes care of itself. It then goes on.
Have you started to sort of dream a little bit about making a dent, a proper run deep into this competition?
Since the day we started, I don't think you set out in this competition not to have that dream.
The fact that the squad is a lot more settled now, results are going well, does that just give you the belief that you can perform on all fronts this season?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it's momentum as well. I think Celtic historically has had a lot of momentum going their way, and which has allowed them to have a lot of success. Now that we have So momentum go on our side. Hopefully it works out for us.
The title race is so tight, some people might see European football as a distraction. I imagine footballers don't see it that way though. Is it about sort of relishing every big game that comes, and they can maybe have a knock-on effect with momentum?
Yeah, it's taking it game by game, day by day. Obviously, we got a game tomorrow. I'm not involved in it, but that's the next focus.
How do the players take the January transfer window? Is there a lot of talk about who may come in, who may not come in, things like that?
No, not really.
Not at all. Does it bother any of the squad or any of the players?
I haven't heard anything. No.
And that was it. You can see the full visual one on Celtic FC YouTube page. The shortest interview in the history of Celtic Football Club. He must have started speaking about his red card, and Celtic have went, we can't put that out there. Celtic hiding yeah. They said that that's the full media conference from Austin Trusty reacts to the UEFA draw against Stuttgart on the 30th. That's not the full media conference. Celtic have been very clever. Because we know this, because the written press, the written media that were in the room at the time have come out with what he did say. But anyway, we move on. We talk about Sean Maloney. And we talk about the fact that Sean Maloney has obviously worked under Paul Tisdale. Written press at his time at Celtic. And he's kind of lifted the lid on the three managers that he's kind of worked under, because he was brought in under Brendan Rodgers, Sean Maloney. He's worked under Martin O'Neill on an interim basis back in the end of October, November last year. And he worked under Wilfred Nancy, and now he's back working under Martin O'Neill. Sean Maloney says he was appointed as Celtic's head, talking about Tisdale, who was appointed head of football operations back in October 2024. He was in the year just over a job, but was obviously sacked just a calendar year later after bringing in Wilfred Nancy. Maloney was in the loan department as a professional player pathway manager. He says he worked closely with Tisdale with regards to the younger players at the club. He says, I was to work closely with B team coach Steve McManus at the time. He was the B team manager, and Paul, and as the board as well as the board, because at that point you had to go and work and see what solutions were for certain younger players going through the club system. Generally, the first team loans were Paul and Brendan's and the board that dealt with them. He didn't have anything to do with players from the first team going out on loan. There was no handover or nothing like that. But things changed overnight with the decision to get rid of Nancy. And Maloney spoke about Tisdale's work ethic. He says he worked really hard. My relationship with him, anything to do with some of the younger loans, was positive. He gave me space to go and work with Steve McManus, Chris McCart, and the player to go and figure out what was the best role for them. It was positive. It allowed me to do the loan role alongside the B-time guys. And obviously I worked close with Brendan at the time because he wants to see if any of the younger players had the capability to play in the first team. And if they didn't, they were shipped out on loan. That's it. He did say that his work ethic was what you would imagine. It was very good. I think alongside Wilfred, it was just a disappointing time for everyone at that point, really, he went on to say. He also went on to say that he promised, after being brought in to replace Darren O'Dea as the pathway manager, Darren O'Dea, who left to go to Swansea as assistant manager, now isn't at Swansea as assistant manager. It's funny how things happen. But Sean Maloney says that on his long-term future, does he see him being a number 2? And he said, no, it's not for me. Regarding the managerial position, I'll definitely be an assistant to Martin in terms of next year, that role, if it's still there, but I think we'll figure that out in the summer. I think for the next 3 months, I'll just give everything to try and win the league and go as far as we can in Europe. That's all Sean wants to do, win the league and try and go as far as we can in Europe. And then the club will look for someone else. I know that Martin has already said he doesn't see himself here next season. I definitely promised the people at the club that I'll do it this season and next season in the technical role. I've actually loved being back at the club, said Sean Maloney. And I promised them that this season and next, but I actually hope it's longer. Sean Maloney wants to be at the club longer than just this season and next season, which is good because I've said that you need. I mean, I know that there have been some people on the channel saying this jobs for the boys stuff is nonsense. It's not taking the club forward. I think that you do. I think that you need people at the club that get the club, and it's absolutely brilliant. And Sean Maloney was such a confident young man yesterday. You know, he was confident in his own ability to speak to the media. He's he's far above. Do you know what though? And what was good that came out of the interviews yesterday, that personally that I think he's assistant manager material. If he's assistant manager next year, he will love it. If that then doesn't work out, he will go back to the role of loans manager, which he actually really enjoys. You know, he loves being a focus point of where young players are going to develop and how they're going to develop, and being part of their career and helping them develop for the betterment of Celtic Football Club. And that's why you need people like Sean Maloney at the club, so that it's their job to help the younger players make sure that they're making the right decisions, you know, by staying at Celtic, that there is this pathway. And also you need a first team manager that believes in youth to an extent where they do try and promote them into the first team at a certain age. I was talking to my brother last night about it, and he talking about 17, 18-year-olds this day and age getting into first teams, and you know, just talking about the fact that it is hard for them, and it's a case of you need to watch out because of, you see what's happened to Kieran Tierney through his career. You bring them in too quick, you get them playing too many games from a young age at a high level, and it can have the adverse effect. But then there's not every player that's going to be a Yamal. There's not every player that's going to be a Lennon Miller type player that will play a certain amount of games. But even Lennon Miller, he wasn't playing 3 times a week when he was at, and I'm only taking the Lennon Miller comparison because he was looked at by Celtic. I mean, he's a younger player that played every week. You know, playing players 3 times a week at that young age, I think that is what you want to do. Is you just want to be bringing them in a game at a time, you know, and not putting too much pressure on them. That's where we're going with it. But he said, Sean Maloney, getting back because this is all about the youth, he says, I definitely promise people at the club that I'll do this next season and next season and the technical role. I've actually loved being back at the club. I really have. I promised them next season and the season after. I actually hope it's longer. I've really enjoyed being here in whatever role they see me in. And obviously, all eyes turn now because I don't think that Celtic are going to announce any players today or tomorrow. It never happens at the weekend, does it? For Celtic, for some unknown reason, we seem to be the only club in the world that doesn't be able to agree deals over the weekend. But anyway, let's wait and see. It's going to be a busy day on Monday because Sean Maloney's expecting 3 players to come in on Monday. That would make it 5 in total over the transfer window. I did say we needed 7 to make the squad a little bit better. So 2 off if Sean Maloney's right and we do get 3 players in on Monday. I think we'll maybe buy 1 player and maybe bring another 2 on loan. We'll wait and see. But I think that is 5 enough to get us over the line when it comes to winning the league. It's a massive, massive weekend. for Celtic. We don't play until the Sunday. When you look at the games, gee, I'm looking rough. I need to shave this morning. When you look at the games that are coming up, apart from, I mean, the games last month, the Bologna, I mean, you would say that January was, it was a strange month, January, regards to games, because obviously at one point we still had the amazing manager Wilfred Nancy in place. We started off the month of January, and to think that it feels like Martin O'Neill's been back forever. Started off with that defeat at home to Rangers, 3-1. Absolutely ridiculous performance by Wilfred Nancy and the Celtic players, which saw the manager ultimately being sacked. Now, not straight away. You know, they did wait until the Monday or something, didn't they? They did wait a couple of days. They didn't sack him straight away. But they did sack him, and they got Martin O'Neill in for the next game, which was on January the 10th, which is at Celtic Park, and it was Celtic versus Dundee United. And then Celtic found their scoring boots again, and they had a defensive masterclass under Martin O'Neill. And then we went to Falkirk, and that was a bit of a trickier game. We did only win that 1-0. It was never going to be an easy game at Falkirk, who we play this weekend again. And then there was the Auchinleck Talbot game. The Auchinleck Talbot was an interesting one because it allowed us to see Balak Wisher. It allowed us to see Balak Wisher playing a full game. And there was other players that played that game that did not live up to expectations. They should have blown Auchinleck Talbot out the water. Fair play to the guys for Auchinleck Talbot. They hadn't played since around about the 14th of December. They had to just keep themselves training and keep themselves fit and up to pace. They had to go through the Christmas period, not getting on the bevy and not eating all the Christmas pies and, you know, looking after themselves. And yeah, it was a 2-0 victory for Celtic. Now, some people say that was a shocking result and it should have been more. And yes, it was. It allowed Martin O'Neill to really see some of the players and go, nah, they're just not good enough. And then we went to Bologna, away to Italy again. And Celtic blew a 2-0 lead with a certain player being sent off. Rio Hatate got sent off in that game. And it ultimately cost Celtic. I think if we had managed to retain 11 players on the pitch, it could have been a successful game. But a draw was good in Italy, especially the way that our season had went. And Bologna were no mugs at all. They weren't as good as what I thought they were going to be, but I think that Celtic could have got it over the line. But ultimately, there was a certain player at Bologna that's never beaten Celtic. And the majority of his games has been beat by Celtic, or he's had 3 draws, but it wasn't to be. And then there was the Hearts game. And you're thinking, we need to lay down a marker. The team needs to lay down a marker in January. We'll go to Hearts. And once again, we blow a 2-0 lead, and we're reduced to a player coming off for a dubious red card decision. Whilst all the media and all the Masons and the Blacks and everyone from a Rangers perspective, because they have the final say on what happens at Hearts, they ultimately managed to make sure that the player was suspended for the game this weekend. Now, some may say that was it. That's the league done and dusted. Dropping those 2 points. If we had managed to beat Hearts, it would have laid down a marker and says that, we think that was a good chance we could win it. But results went against us that weekend and last weekend, and ultimately Celtic find themselves in 3rd position in the league, having lost 6 games this season already. If we win the league this year, it will be one of the biggest turnarounds ever. But it's as much as Sean Maloney can come out and say, yes, we can. There's a chance that we could win the league. You know, there's a chance we could do this. There's a chance that I could go down the lottery shop today, put on the national lot, put on the lottery, and win the Euro Millions. Just saying. Although we did do the Gordo at Christmas and won 100 quid. That was a bonus. But it cost 20 quid a ticket. But there's a lot of people became millionaires instantly with that. It's crazy in Spain. Anyway, and then we had Utrecht at home. Now, that was one that was been penciled in since the beginning of the season, that I thought it was a Celtic win. When we looked at it, even when Brendan Rodgers was here, I thought the Bologna one during the campaign could have been a game too far. Ultimately, Bologna game was one that we actually could have won. Utrecht at home for Celtic was a good game. We were 2-0 up within the first 20-15 minutes. We won 4-2 ultimately. It makes it look better than it actually was. The second half shown that the players are needing some help. And then the last game of the month, that was. Tomorrow is a new month. And it's a hell of a month. We have Falkirk at Celtic Park tomorrow, and then we have a Wednesday trip up to Aberdeen, and then we also have the Scottish Cup 5th round on Saturday the 7th of February. We have Dundee, and then we have Livingston, and then we have Kilmarnock. And you're thinking this is a good month for Celtic. There's a lot of winnable games. I'm going to say the Falkirk game, I think that we'll win that at Celtic Park. Aberdeen away, I think we'll win that. Although Aberdeen have brought in some players, so that's going to be an interesting one. Aberdeen are trying to fight to get up into the top 6. Dundee in the Cup, we will win that. Celtic, Livingston on a Wednesday night, we will win that. Kilmarnock away, we will win that because they are absolutely rank rotten. Stuttgart at Celtic Park. I am going to say that Celtic will narrowly win the game at Celtic Park versus Stuttgart. Like we did back in 2003. We won the game. They won the home tie in 2003. And then we have Hibernian on the 21st of the month. Before the final game of the month is against Stuttgart again. It's another crazy mad month for Celtic fans. The transfer window will have slammed shut by then. It would have slammed shut, and the players that we'll bring in the next 2 days, well, we're not bringing in anybody this weekend. We'll bring the players in on Monday. It's the way that Celtic always do it. They seem to have an inability to conclude deals over a weekend somehow. But anyway, I think that Celtic we'll bring in 3 players. That's my prediction. That's Sean Maloney's hoping we bring in 3 players, and I think that it'll be good to get the 3 players in. But when you look at the month ahead, I think that apart from Stuttgart away, I think that we should be looking at a month where Celtic go on a run and win every single game. Every single game. And lay down a marker to prove that we're not done and dusted. We're still in the Scottish Cup. We will still be in the running for the league. And I think laying down a marker on February the 19th against Stuttgart, I'm going to say a 2-1 win against Stuttgart at Celtic Park. And it'll be a case of, can we do enough away? And if we do, we're on the road again. We're on the road again. We're on our way to paradise. We love the jungle deep. That's where the lion sleeps. For then those evil eyes. Anyway, that is your Celtic news this morning. I'm not going to go into transfer stuff too much because I think we all know there's not going to be much happening this weekend. Some people will come out and say, Celtic are doing this, Celtic are doing that. The fact is, nobody knows because Celtic haven't concluded any deals as yet. There were some people I've seen trying to say online that Celtic have have lodged papers with the SFA. No, they haven't. Because you've got to get someone in and sign before you can lodge papers with the SFA. But anyway, that is me done and dusted for this morning. Let's jump into the chat before we go. And any Echo's total shite. Oh, Chris, how you doing? What's the temperature with you today, Chris? Is it still in the 30s down there? He doesn't seem to understand offside and as slow as a cart horse. I think Iniacho and Big Tom can get a relationship. You look as if you've been at the Buckfast Ball last night. Yeah, I slept in this morning and didn't have a shave. I look rough as a badger's ass. But anyway, thank you for that. That's what happens when you sleep in the morning. Do you think Sinisalo will start tomorrow? No. Sinisalo will start the Dundee game. Sinisalo will start the Dundee game in the Cup. So yeah, it's 39 degrees right now. I miss those temperatures. I mean, it's going to be about 18 degrees here today, but that's not warm. 39, 35. 35 is comfortable. 35, I'm just sitting like, that's nice. So when all your mates come over, they're like, sweat's pissing on them. And 35 degrees is nice. When it gets up to 38, 39, 40, gets a bit much. And when it gets 40 plus, it's just like, nah, you can't do a thing. You can't do anything. Roll on August. Roll on August. Keep the faith. They'll spend the weekend at the confessional after their lies all week, says Gav Boy. Can Tambo play on the wing? Iniacho needs to stay fit for the running. I don't think that Iniacho will be. Celtic won't be looking at Iniacho as being the answer. But anyway. You're still lying in your bed. I wish I was. I had to get out and walk the dog and have some breakfast and sort my shit out before. And then I was like, it's fucking hell, look at the time. I had to just jump up. 35 is too much. Not a chance, Mo. 35 degrees not too much. That's just a nice temperature. Once you've stayed in the place, it's 35 is just nice. It's absolutely brilliant. But anyway, Iniacho's a big player for us. Ooh, he might be a big player, but I don't think that he's going to make the impact that Celtic thought he would make. He was a Brendan Rodgers buy, and Blackburn Rovers are in for that's all we need. I don't think that deal's going to happen. And do you know what's going to make it even worse? Is that Celtic could have got that deal done and dusted quite easily with the fact that using Stephen Welsh as a pawn within the deal. Do you know, that's a deal that should have been concluded really, really quick and really easily. And Celtic are fucking, I'm not paying that money. Just fucking do the deal with Stephen Welsh. What's going to end up happening is we're going to lose out on the player, and then we're going to loan players. We're going to loan Stephen Welsh back to him. Do you ever use central heating? We use the aircon as heating during the day, sometimes at night. So no, you don't have central heating over here. No such thing as central heating. You just turn the aircon on to hot. And you only need it for about. I mean, this month's been terrible. It's the worst January I've had in 6 years. Kelechi was brought in to fill the gap. Nothing else. The board backed Brendan with better players. He would be in a different position. I don't think that Iniacho would have been there at all if Brendan had been backed correctly. Iniacho shares Casper's pies by the look of it. Yep. Don't think any deal is going to happen, says Joseph. Joseph, you were the one yesterday saying that there was papers lodged. Were you not? They've only offered 1.5 million though. We should top that. Yeah, Celtic should be going in. I'd be offering 3 million plus Welsh to get the deal done. Celtic and common sense, not common. Yeah, this is very, very true. Big shout out to Danny Cassie, who did a super chat earlier on. I'm just seeing if there's any more comments coming in, because that is me done and dusted. I will do as what games are on today? Let me just see. What year was this top? Carling. Can you remember? Can you remember what year was this top? It's one of the tighter ones. It's one of the tighter ones. William Hill fixtures. Today, we do have, there is Kilmarnock versus Aberdeen today, Livingston versus Motherwell, and St Mirren versus Dundee. And then tonight, Dundee United versus Hearts. If the missus is just sitting watching TV, I might do a watch along on the other channel for that one. Just to see if Dundee United can do anything. Been 9 o'clock tonight. Perfect. That's my night sorted. That's my night. That's my night sorted. We'll do a watch along on another channel. For Dundee United versus Hearts tonight, 8 o'clock Celtic Park time. Baz, I've got Martinez at 25 to 1 to be the next manager. Ooh, that's a good bet, mate. It's a good bet. Good bet. Did you see the parrot video I sent you with the song? Yes, I did, Jim. I forgot to get back to you. No, Baz, you just got bigger. No, because some of the other tops, Nakamura wore that top. He did. He did that. Nakamura. Cracking one. 1992 was it? Jesus. God. There we go. Still fits. Still fits. 1992. You hear that? I'm wearing a top for 1992. Well, I'm old, eh? 2005, 2006. It wasn't 92. It was 2005, 2006. 1992. Jesus. Kenny, what's Robbie Keane's odds? What is Robbie Keane's odds? I wonder. Nah, because we're not playing them. 1992 was Umbro stuff. I shall wear some 1992 stuff tomorrow morning. I'll wear some really old Celtic stuff tomorrow. Anyway, it was never 92. 92 was Umbro stuff. Carling was 07, 08, 2006. I think it was more 2006, wasn't it? We'll wait and see. Right, I shall catch you all later on where we'll do a quick video for the full-time results coming in Scotland on the Saturday afternoon as always. Gary Caldwell wore that top. He did that also. Gary Caldwell. And also, young vinegar has so hank. I said the young vinegar has so hank. Young vinegar has so hank. Young vinegar, young vinegar, young vinegar has so hank. Carling tops was Gordon Strachan's era. Yes, it was that. That's hence the reason. And it was Scott Brown. Scott Brown came to Celtic. Good year, 1992. Right, that is me done and dusted. Have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.